Hello, and welcome to Lodging on Demand. In this episode, Lodging Editor-in-Chief Dennis Nessler spends 10 minutes with Alex Kirkwood, CEO of the Kirkwood Collection, to discuss a handful of industry issues such as driving rate, managing the labor crisis, and the current economic headwinds. Kirkwood also chronicles the continued expansion of his company's luxury boutique brand throughout California and reveals some aggressive growth plans for the future.
Hi, this is Dennis Nessler, Editor-in-Chief of Lodging Magazine. I'm here today with Alex Kirkwood, CEO of the Kirkwood Collection, a luxury boutique brand. Alex, welcome today.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm really happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Alex, let's start off talking a little bit about the industry and some of the issues and kind of what you're seeing as we enter the second half of 23. First of all, rate has been one area where the industry's done fairly well considering the downturn. What's been your perspective in terms of rate and how do you look at it?
I think that the industry has been one of the few that actually benefits from inflation in that way, to where if while our operating expenses and all costs are rising, rates also rise as part of that. And specifically, I think boutiques and luxury boutiques have been able to outperform even that level of index. Because they are separate. They're separate from that commoditized flag comp set where everyone's fighting over a $10 ADR, where we might be able to charge 50, and that's just being from a separate type of non-commoditized product.
Mm-hmm. How about the labor piece? How challenging has that been for you? And what do you see as maybe some of the solutions going forward?
Yeah, we weren't immune to that challenge. I will say, though, when COVID hit and we did very, very few layoffs, we basically kept almost our entire team intact, portfolio-wide and in the office. That allowed us to emerge a little more prepared to expand, and maybe some of our fellow hoteliers who had shut down, they have to start from zero, where we basically dipped for 3 months and we were back up by July, August to hitting our 2019 levels, which is a testament to the boutique, lower key count asset class. And so more recently, we started from like a better foothold coming out of COVID, and then we've implemented a full benefits program, and so we're competing with much larger operators and brands, and bringing that to a space that typically you don't have health insurance or a 401k for a small boutique hotel, and we're able to offer that now with some of our scale. We're up to 10 properties now.
Right.
That's how we've competed, but it has been challenging. It's not to say we were immune.
Yeah, no question. And but that's been a difference maker for you, huh? Just having those benefits and packages.
Yeah, people like to work for like Seven Gables Inn on Monterey Bay. It's just a stunning hotel, and your office is on the ocean. So like people want to work there, but then when we can also pair that with more, like if you have a Marriott up the street, we can now compete in terms of comp and benefits. It's a nice package because I'd rather work at the ocean.
Absolutely. Within the boutique or lifestyle space, a lot of new entries there. Everyone seems to be getting into lifestyle. How have you seen the segment evolve over the years? Kind of what's your take on where things are going, heading into the future?
Well, 10 years ago, it was hard to get a boutique financed. Lenders were always, it didn't matter if it was 15 keys or 150. They would ask, "Well, what's your flag?" And we were like, "No, we're not going to play that game." So that was a challenge. That has changed completely to where it's almost flipped. The emergence of the boutique competitor set out of COVID, it recovered so much faster than the general market that I think lenders finally see it as a benefit to being independent or boutique branded versus a major flag that has a pipe of a guest list.
Right. Growing the Kirkwood Collection, which I think is now up to 10 properties, correct? All in California. Talk a little bit about the Palm Springs, the 3 properties you just added, and how that came about.
Yeah, so the seller's a wonderful guy, and most of our sellers are very interested in who is acquiring their properties, and it means a lot to them to have a like-minded owner who's going to take care of their people and appreciate the history or the like. A lot of our hotels are historic
Mm-hmm.
or historically significant, and so we've kind of carved out that niche a little bit. And so it meant a lot to them to have a like-minded person who appreciates the mid-century architecture of the Del Marcos Hotel, the 1930s architecture of La Serena Villas, and then same mid-century, but a little more Hollywood glam on the 350 Hotel. And so I just came in and my design team, we just fell in love with it. And Harry Pfluger from Maxim Hotel Brokerage, he called us. He knew we were a player in that space and we had been acquiring. And so I think that made us an ideal buyer.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said you've had a little bit of a change in the capital structure of the company. Yes.
Yeah. So now we're working with Samara Capital out of Santa Barbara, and they've been a phenomenal team to work with. They expressed a great degree of belief in what we're trying to do, which is acquire multiple boutique hotels, typically with historical significance in a given market. You complex manage them across the three or however many you have, and so it cuts down on the administrative in general, which is typically it's an undistributed cost, so it's harder with lower key counts to be competitive with larger operators. But if you can buy two or three and manage them as one, largely as one large hotel, you still separate everything's separate, but you get the efficiencies of a larger key count property, even though you're splitting it up into three.
Alex, what are some of the challenges with historical properties? What are some of the things, I would imagine there's the red tape and things you got to go through before you can make changes or renovations or what have you. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you could argue this from both sides. So Historic Landmarks Commission is typically in every municipality that anywhere, and it is their job to protect the historical significance of these assets and maintain that significance, while we're supposed to come in and bring these properties up to speed, or in the case of like an old mansion, we need to do things, meet ADA compliance would be an example where we have to meet ADA compliance. We have to provide full accessibility. How do you do that in a historic setting can be challenging, and they'll work through it. It's that we have to bring this up to speed. They have to be, we have to provide luxury modern amenities to some extent, but in a historical setting. And so it's a bit of a tug and pull, but ultimately we try to bring on historical consultants that help us through that process and go in saying, hey, look, we're not trying to recreate this. We're not trying to bring a brand standard at all. Not like that. We want it to feel as it should, but while also be competitive in the market. And we've carved out a niche for doing that. I think our reputation now can speak for itself when we go to committee, and it's become easier as we've proved out, hey, look, here's what we've done up in Pacific Grove, here's what we've done in Monterey Bay, Palm Springs, Santa Barbara. You start to build that reputation. There's kind of a level of trust that this isn't purely economically motivated.
Alex, any thoughts about expanding beyond California, a little bit more geographically going forward?
Yeah, certainly. We are looking at a number of vacation markets, mostly I would say on the East Coast. We'll hold off on any details until we have something to formally announce. But our entire pitch in California has been the top leisure and travel destinations within a 2-hour drive of a major metropolitan city, and we certainly intend to keep that focus.
Long-term vision or goals for the company? How do you see, how big do you see it getting?
So we intend to expand, and our goals are pretty lofty. I'd like to be at a couple hundred hotels in the next 15 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's definitely ambitious for sure. But lastly, just before we wrap this up, I just want to get your thoughts on the industry in general. Kind of, are you bullish as we look at the back half of 23? A lot of economic headwinds kind of facing the industry, inflation you mentioned, but fundamentals seem to be pretty solid as well. So what are your feelings on the industry in general?
We're really excited, and we took our COVID recovery performance, which was pretty fast versus the market, and we're trying to say, like, we have a new type of investment in a way that mitigate the way we operate and invest in the markets that we source and the properties that we find. They don't perform like the rest of the market, so we have this separate financial instrument, if you will, that we think is a really powerful prospect, and as it expands, it becomes more stable in that sense. And so we're really excited about that.
Great. Well, Alex, thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate it, and have a great summer.
All right. Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Lodging on Demand. If you want more content like this, subscribe to Lodging Magazine on YouTube. You can also subscribe to Lodging on Demand wherever you get your podcasts. For news and updates, follow @Lodging Magazine on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, or visit us at lodgingmagazine.com.